Okay, Rebecca, I'm Greg Heitzman. I'm president of the Louisville Water Company. I'm here to answer all your questions about drinking water. So essentially today it's pretty common practice across the United States. It's called conventional treatment that consists of 4 processes. One would be sedimentation, second would be coagulation, third would be filtration, and fourth would be disinfection with chlorine. And those are the basic steps of water purification that have been used for the past 80 to 100 years in this country. You talk about the riverbank filtration wells, and the reason we're moving towards riverbank filtration is because that adds a 5th barrier to the water treatment. I mentioned the 4, and what that does is riverbank filtration is a process that takes water from the river, takes it through the natural sands and gravel aquifer that exists. It's 100 foot thick below the Ohio River. So it puts a filter on the front end of the process. Right now we have a filter on the tail end, or the final process step. This puts a 100 foot thick natural sand filter on the front end of the process. Okay, the Safe Drinking Water Act was first authorized or promulgated back in 1974. Every 10 years there's an update to it. The standards are set by EPA, so the federal government through Congress passed the act, and then it handed it off to the Environmental Protection Agency to essentially be the enforcement. The other unique thing about the act is that it is administered through the states. The picture is the Safe Drinking Water Act, and underneath it, as EPA develops various standards, they fall into the buckets associated with different rules. And 4 examples of that are the soil coliform rule, the disinfection byproduct rule, the lead and copper rule, and the enhanced surface water treatment rule. My belief is that the largest threat for the drinking water supply is going to be continued to be environmental contamination. That in a lot of cases is either human or man-made. There's human wastes, animal wastes, or is synthetic in some way, which is going to be some type of man-made waste. Whether that would be radioactive waste, whether it be herbicides, pesticides. The latest wave, which is not regulated yet, but we expect to come in the next 10 years, is all the personal care products and pharmaceuticals. I think at the micro level, what I think any college student could do is first educate themselves in the environment that we live in, and the fact that so many things that we enjoy every day, from what we talk, the fuel that runs our cars, to the pharmaceuticals that we take, to the vitamins that we take, the personal care products, to the fruit that we have on the table is brought because of herbicides and pesticides, and all what are associated with all the secondary impacts. Because much of that is getting into the source waters that then has to be removed through the drinking water supplies. And the technology is there, but the technology for removal has to stay ahead of the technology of detection. At the macro level, from a policy point of view, is making sure that regulations are based upon sound science. So before we go out and begin to regulate or over-regulate the industry, what we need to do is make sure that there's sound science behind all the adverse impacts of various treatment methods. So for example, ozone is used and chlorine is used. They're both strong oxidants, but both of them have byproducts of disinfection that can be adverse from a chronic perspective. So in the spectrum is some states, there are some advocacy, some environmental groups that want to eliminate the use of fluoride and the use of chlorine and the use of ozone because of the adverse health effects. If Louisville and other cities did that today, because now the entire United States population has a level of immunocompromisation that essentially has put us very vulnerable. That's why when we go to Mexico we get sick and have gastrointestinal problems. Well, if we remove all of that to take care of the chronic problems, everybody will be in the hospital. 80% of the population in the United States will be in the hospital tomorrow with gastrointestinal problems. So what you got is that balance between what would be a chronic and what would be an acute risk.